Lando Vannata versus Marc Diakiese takes place on the early prelims of UFC Fight Night 160. Copenhagen Hermansson versus Cannonier. It's on the early prelims. That's how stacked this card is. I feel like it should be headlining the prelims, but I get it. They're not really on big win streaks. You know, they've had some losses in their recent fights. I understand why they're not there, but I feel like it's going to be such an entertaining fight. This is a guarantee. This fight will not be boring. This fight may go to the distance, but it will not be boring. Someone's getting dropped on their ass, if not multiple times. I feel like Lando Vannata is going to win this fight, purely on the fact that I think they're both elite strikers. I think Lando Vannata mixes it up a little bit better. I think Marc Diakiese loads his shots a bit more, where Lando Vannata is a bit more loosey-goosey. He doesn't load everything into his shots. He does gas a bit in the third round. I feel like that's something that he's been working on recently. I like Lando Vannata, man. I like Lando Vannata here. And also, when you look at them, they're both elite strikers. I've listed all the things that they do about striking. Lando Vannata has the option to take this to the ground, in my opinion. We've seen when Marc Diakiese tries to go towards the ground and tries to wrestle with guys like he did against Dan Hooker, immediately gets submitted. You know what I'm saying? Immediately gets submitted by Dan Hooker. Lando Vannata in his last fight in UFC 234 against some guy who, fair enough, probably wasn't the best guy in the UFC at the time. I mean, he just lost a fight last weekend. I can't remember his name, but he lost to Puelles on the very first fight of the night last weekend. And Lando Vannata had the choice. Listen, stand-up's going good, but it could be going better. I'm going to take this to the ground and completely dominate him there. And that's the choice that Lando Vannata has. And that's why I like him in this fight, because he has the choice. And if you have the choice of whether or not you want to change things, it's always beneficial to you. Marc Diakiese, when he's striking, if he doesn't like the striking, he has to put up with it and keep trying to strike. That's his one big option. Lando Vannata, if he's striking and he doesn't like the way things are going, he has the option to try and take things to the ground. MMA is about options. Who has the most? If you find two people that you can't really tell the difference between, I think Marc Diakiese and Lando Vannata are good strikers in their own way. Okay, I think they're quite equal level in terms of on the feet. I don't know how this fight's going to go on the feet, but I do know, as a betting man that doesn't bet any money, as a predicting man that risks his reputation on YouTube, I'm going to go with the guy that has the option to change things up and has shown success with that option of changing things up. Not the guy who had the option of changing things up and showed failure in trying to switch things up, like against Dan Hooker when he got submitted. I don't like that. And also, I don't rate the wins. I do not rate the wins of Marc Diakiese in the UFC. I like Lando Vannata. You saw what he did to Tony Ferguson. He always has that ability. He's always dangerous. He's come on the rough end of some really close fights. I mean, he went to a very close fight with Drakkar Klose that, to be honest, could have gone either way. And we've seen how good Drakkar Klose is now. So I respect that split decision. I don't even care. In a split decision, I don't really count a loser, because it could have gone either way. So I like that against Drakkar Klose, that split decision. Drakkar Klose is a beast of the division. Matt Frivola, it went to a draw. It could have gone either way. It's just the style of Lando Vannata makes it hard to go to decisions sometimes. A draw with Bobby Green, maybe he could have won, but he kind of gassed out in the third round and had his nose broken. Then he beats loses to David Tima. It's just, everything's a close fight with Lando Vannata, and everything could go either way. And I think he's come on the wrong end of a few decisions that, with a bit of learning from, he could be on the right side of him. John McDessie completely dominates. Tony Ferguson, in his UFC debut, Lando Vannata comes in and gives Tony Ferguson, arguably, one of the toughest fights he's ever had. And that's it. People don't think about that. People think, oh, Pettis, Kevin Lee. Go and watch the Lando Vannata fight. Lando Vannata was all over him in the first round, destroying him, but because he took the fight on 1 day's notice, or less than a week's notice guaranteed, completely gassed out in the second and third round, went for a takedown that he probably shouldn't have, ended up in Tony Ferguson's DAS. That's what happens. You know what I'm saying? I like Lando Vannata here, and I don't rate Marc Diakiese's wins. I mean, you look at his career. He comes in undefeated, first of all. Beats Lukas Sajewski, who doesn't have a picture on the UFC website. That's the level of competition we're looking at here. It's a UFC fight on his record, and his opponent doesn't have registration with the UFC. That's what we're talking about here. Okay? Then we move on. He has a fight cancelled, and he beats Frankie Perez. Okay, by decision. Not the best. Then he comes out and beats Teemu Pukalen, who's chinny as fuck, and I predicted to lose against Ottoman Izatar at UFC 242. Marc Diakiese KOs him. Okay. It's Teemu Pukalen. Okay. Loses to Shakar Close. A lot more convincingly than Lando Vannata did, by the way. A lot more convincingly. Loses to Dan Hooker. No shame in that, but, I mean, you know, loses to Nasrat Hakparast. No shame in that, but it's another loss. 2019 comes in and beats Joe Duffy, who, yes, I predicted to win, but, I mean, best days behind him, taking a lot of damage in his career. Comes off a win over that. Yes, that's a good win, but I don't know, man. You're talking about if you're getting KO'd by James Vick, Joe Duffy. I don't know. I don't rate the wins of Marc Diakiese as much as I do the losses, even, of Lando Vannata. I like Lando Vannata's record. Hopefully he goes on a bit of a spree here because he's the style. Both, to be honest with you, even though I'm predicting this, I'm going to want the guy that I predicted to win. But I really don't care who wins here, because whoever wins is going to be on a 2-fight win streak, looking for a decent name in the division. You've got a bunch of kind of old-timers looking for like sort of big-name, young up-and-comer fights. You've got Jim Miller waiting around, just looking for a paycheck against someone. You've got Clay Guida waiting around, still looking to fight. You got, I don't even want to mention BJ Penn, never mind. Nick Lentz, speaking of BJ Penn, Nick Lentz is now looking for an opponent. There's a lot of guys at lightweight looking for opponents, and the winner of this one is surely going to get a shot against one of those guys that floats just outside the rankings. I feel like Lando Vannata is going to get the job done. I feel like the reason that Marc Diakiese had so much success against Joe Duffy is because Joe Duffy's a bit of a boxer. You know, he does his boxing, he sticks to it, he doesn't throw much else, he's very flat-footed, and that opened up the leg kicks and the calf kicks for Marc Diakiese. When you're fighting Lando Vannata, the leg kicks and the calf kicks aren't really an option. And that was the main thing that I took away from the Joe Duffy fight with Marc Diakiese, is that, wow, those leg kicks, almost 80% got him the win. You know what I'm saying? It was nearly all of the leg kicks. The rest of it was just like follow-ups from the leg kicks. The leg kicks were setting the base of the win. If he didn't throw the leg kicks, he probably would have lost. You know what I'm saying? They were a key part of his victory. That's the words I'm looking for. They were key to his success. And when you're fighting a guy like Lando Vannata, yes, leg kicks seem like a good option because he likes to move around. But when you're moving around, leg kicks also are very hard to land. They're not going to land as often. I mean, I just don't think... I think it's a bad matchup for Diakiese. I could see him getting a KO. Lando Vannata is there to be hit sometimes, especially in that third round. I don't think Diakiese... I think if you're going to beat Vannata, you have to weather a storm and then come back on later. I don't think Diakiese has that come back later kind of mentality and style in general. I don't think he has that style. So, going to go with Lando Vannata here. Wow, I talked about that a lot longer than even Hermansson versus Cannonier. Good fight. Really good fight. I would have liked it to be on a bit higher up on the card, but whatever, man. It would have been nice to have on the 243 card, but you know, I'm okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Now we just got a few empty cards after this one. Click that button there. See you later. Goodbye.